Why did the woodworker cross the street? To get to his or her shop, of course. But sometimes it's not that easy. This looks dangerous. Someone should do something about it. My first thought was to build a fence across the street, but I have been alerted to a few problems with this idea. So instead I decided to take the board into my shop. I did eventually manage to cross the street and get there. I'm using a Skill 4600 AE combi saw for this project, which I have received for free from Skill in return for a project and review. The project you are in the process of watching, while the review can be found on my channel. The techniques I use in this video can also be used with other types of saw. I have already cut up the board into smaller pieces just to make it more manageable. Now I'm laying out the thing I want to make, which is supposed to be a small figure holding up his hand as if saying stop. I place the pieces on top of what I deem to be the body to get a feel for the positions of arm and legs. Once I have those roughly nailed down, I screw two pieces together with two screws, one on each side of the cut that I also sketch onto the piece. Now I cut along that line, which did not work quite as well with this wavy line, but gets easier with less extravagant curvatures. The idea behind this and the two screws is that you make the same cut on both pieces, and at every point there's the same amount of material removed between them, creating two pieces that will fit almost perfectly. Why did I say almost? Well, because this stops working whenever you remove material in order to make a curve work. You know, eating away at the wood with a plate in order to find the room to maneuver it. Once I have finished the cut, I remove the screws and test fit the pieces. Here you can see what I mean by almost. I work my way through the pieces and also cut the outlines I traced onto them. There's another quote-unquote problem with this method. It does not work as well on curves like this, because you are removing material in two directions, say X and Y. That means that there will not be a good jigsaw-like fit between the pieces, despite the name. Looking back, using a more simple shape, a curve like on the other pieces, would have been the better option. Since any jigsaw is prone to tear out, I use sandpaper to soften the cut edges. You can do the same with the remaining edges, but I prefer using my router table to chamfer them with the same chamfer that used to be on the original fence boards. When it comes to the glue up, you might get away with wood glue, but these free-formed pieces are inherently tricky to clamp. For that reason, and for the fact that it bridges gaps rather well, I use construction adhesive for this job. The next step, also I thought, was to give it some color. I picked up a can of luminous orange spray paint. To be on the safe side, I did actually shake the can for 2 minutes, just like it says. And I will show it to you in real time. False alarm, it was boring enough the first time around. On a side note, you can use the same methods I used to make a decorative figure, or the original paint job might even work to your advantage. But it turns out I overestimated the covering power of this paint, and so the actual next step would have been to sand off the old paint job, which, on a fence more than a decade old, can be quite sturdy. After a few coats, I get a decent result with enough character still shining through. Since the can is almost empty and I do not want to invest into another one, I chose not to sand those away and play the rustic card. Make sure that wherever you put it, it does not obstruct traffic or get in the way of anyone else. So let's try this again. this is how a woodworker looks after he has successfully crossed the street. Remember to be inspired. I picked up a can of luminous orange spray paint.